So, as usual, I kind of share some of the conversations I've been having this week. And one of those conversations, probably more this week than any other week, has been around getting new clients by co-firming with other accounting firms.
Mm-hmm.
So, co-firming is a term that has gotten some traction, not a ton. But the idea of co-firming is where you've got all these independent accountants that have broken off from the big firms they were in or the bigger firm they were in, and they've started these small little shops that tend to specialize in stuff. Sometimes they're general, sometimes they're specific, sometimes they only provide one service like tax prep or bookkeeping or whatever, but they don't do everything anymore. And in the big firm they were in, they had this firm that did everything, had services galore and industries galore and all kinds of packages and deals and ways that they could serve their clients. Well, when you become independent, it's hard to be that for your clients. And if you do become that for your clients, you're going to go fucking nuts. Excuse my language. So this concept of co-firming is bringing almost like a big firm experience to independent accountants. At the end of the day, all it means is you reach out and you connect with accountants in your area, or maybe not in your area, but other accountants that do work that you don't do. And that might be industries, it might be services, it might be geographies, whatever it might be. But there is a chance that you each are going to benefit from that co-firming option. And it's like this, like one thing the clients suck at, or excuse me, accountants suck at, is asking their clients for referrals.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the thing that's actually they suck at worse than that is asking other CPA and accountants for referrals.
Or
And
don't even
and
think to.
or don't even think to, right? Or they feel it's just got to be a competition, and they're after my clients and I'm after their clients, and so it's eat what you kill and get out of my way, and that's not the case at all, because there's just so much work out there. B, there's a lot of things that you don't want to do as an accountant, independent accountant, and there's a lot of things that your competitors don't want to do.
Yep.
I had a client in here before this conversation who's, let's just say he's at a medium-sized firm. And we sat down with a list of the top firms in the area and said, okay, which one of these do you know? And it was like, I know this one, I know this one, I know this one, and this one. Okay, great. I said, now how many of those have you asked for help in getting new clients? And it was like, none. Maybe there's one. I think he actually had one or two that he had asked. But there was like, a good portion of that list he hadn't connected with. And those firms aren't looking for the same clients he is. But those clients will still go to those firms looking for someone to serve them.
You bet.
And so that's an instant, easy referral. Like, hey, sorry, you're too small, or we don't do that industry, or we don't provide that service. And here's a list of folks that we know and trust that can. And that could be you, that could be, your firm could be getting referrals from other CPAs, easily.
You bet.
But for whatever reason, we go to the conferences, maybe we bump into each other, maybe we know who each other is, but to actually sit down and have a conversation to say, hey, you know what? Like, I do different stuff than you do. Why don't we just kind of send stuff back and forth? If you're a CPA, you're not allowed to charge referral fees. But
Not
if you're
without
just
disclosures, at least.
and yeah, there's some rules around it. But as an accountant, just a plain old accountant, you can charge referral fees if you want to.
Mm-hmm.
You won't need to because they'll be sending you work as much as you send them. So it's going to work out. And not to say we're trying to create this giant mega firm of giga accountants or independent accountants, but you can increase your reach and increase your clientele and increase your revenue by just co-firming with other accountants.
Yep. This is a tactic that we use. This is how I primarily grow my business.
Mm-hmm.
is co-firming. So if you're a bookkeeper, reach out to tax-only firms, and even not tax-only firms. I've reached out to firms that do bookkeeping, and they are thrilled that we can take that piece off their hands because that's not their core competency. They aren't efficient at it. They don't love it. They do it because the clients ask them to do it, and they're the people pleasers, and so they say yes, and they do it anyway.
Right.
But they're thrilled if they can offload that to someone that they trust and they have a landing spot for their clients. So that allows them to not say no to a client, but say, we don't do that, but I have someone great that will do that for you. And that brings trust in that relationship as well.
I had a fractional CFO reach out to me this week and say, "Hey, I've got a client who needs some work done. Do you know of anyone that can do the work?" Now, first of all, yeah, I do, and that's I was able to help him. Second of all, why didn't he know him? Why didn't my fractional CFO client know the other accounting firms that do this work?
Yeah.
And I mean, there's no more proof than that. Just to say, first of all, it wouldn't have really helped him other than he could have helped his client get the work done. But that connection goes both ways. If you're a fractional CFO and you don't know a bunch of tax preparers, or if you're a bookkeeper that doesn't know a bunch of tax preparers, or if you're a tax preparer that doesn't know a bunch of bookkeepers,
Yep.
like that's an opportunity. It's a huge one, and it's an easy one. And plus, you'll have plenty to talk about at lunch besides awkward stuff. You can complain about your clients. You can talk about the vacation you're going to take that you haven't had a chance to this year. You're going to talk about the dry cleaning that you finally get to take in now. There's a lot of things that you can associate with and find a common ground with another accountant on. And one of them should be, hey, let's work together to help each other to get the clients that we're both looking for. And I think this is something that came out of, and it's still a push, but, getting a niche, getting a focus, focusing on either a service or a niche or a geography or whatever, like that's helping accountants get into these lanes and know the kind of work they want to do to have their more ideal experience. And co-firming then allows them to get more of them because they'll be able to identify who's in a different lane, who may find work that you do that they don't, that you can become a referral for them.
Yep.
And
you
vice
only
versa.
you only have to sell several other firms on this idea. You don't have to sell 50 clients. It's a very high leverage move to make to increase the pipeline of leads coming into your firm.
And then you just go out and you have a beer every once in a while and be like, "Hey, have you seen anything lately?" And it's like, "No, I haven't seen anything lately." You? No, and actually, I did. I saw a couple, and I'll send them your way tomorrow. And it's like, "Great, thank you. That's awesome. I'll pay for beers tonight. Awesome, free beer." But it doesn't have to be formal. Like, we're not talking about a formalized, like, sign a contract, make a new partner, enter into an agreement, no joint venture bullshit. Like, this is just low hanging fruit that you can grab and create clients out of this year, this summer. I guarantee you, if you do this and you have these conversations, if you talk to 5 accountants in the next month or two and you create a relationship with them, they probably already know you or have heard about you. You already probably know them or heard about them. And just have some conversations and have a couple of them and check in every once in a while. You see anything? I haven't seen anything. Do you see anything? I have. Like just create that community around getting clients. This community firm, almost maybe.
Instead of spending time switching softwares on something this summer, because that's what everybody loves to talk about.
What?
Switching their
what are you talking about? I haven't heard that once. I mean, other than every other conversation I've had so far this week.
If you spent that time simply reaching out to other firms, your business would grow like crazy. I promise, because that's what we do, and it works. I promise it works.
Yeah. So how this goes into action? Like I would sit down and I would make a list of the first of all, know your lane. Second of all, recognize some of the firms around you and what their lanes are. Find the ones that most obviously are not like you, that will most likely be hearing about opportunities that you could serve, and then reach out to them. Like it's let's call it May, and let's say that by the end of the second quarter of the year, June 30th, that you've reached out to 5 accountants and set up a conversation to talk about this concept and to share it with them.
Yep.
I guess that's my homework. That's my call to action is reach out to 5 accountants within the next month and make some connections with folks that aren't in your lane and make an agreement to, for the work that you don't do that fits what I do, that you'll send it my way and I'll do the same for you. Simple.
Yep. It's easy.
Co-firming.
Awesome. Thanks, dude.
Awesome. Cheers.